Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of the Legal Beagle podcast. Today, we're talking with Jenny Pace of Ohio, who has successfully settled a lawsuit against her landlord for allowing a maintenance worker to come in and steal cash and other items from her business. There's a newscast out that highlighted her that gives us the overview of what's going on, which I will play in just a moment. But we're also having Brandon join us today, who kind of aided in helping her get to this point. But without further ado, here's the video, and then Jenny and Brandon.
Mayfield Heights police say they're looking for the maintenance worker in this surveillance video, caught on camera breaking into a business and the rented units at a popular beauty salon. They say it was a piece of cake for this guy, too, because he had been entrusted with the keys to every one of those units.
So, yeah, I feel really violated. Seeing someone come into your room and just take your property that you restocked. Of course, the cash is the biggest thing that it feels violating, but everything. I mean, it's my property.
News 5 investigator Joe Paganakis reports the burglar has still not been arrested. Police say it has both current and former tenants at concerned about security.
I did not ever think that it was someone stealing from me.
Jenny Pace says she was just trying to run a successful beauty salon, renting this space at the located in Mayfield Heights. But then, she says last fall, she started noticing cash and personal items were turning up missing.
The thing that really got me was when I filled my candy jar and it was completely full to the top, and then the next time I came into work, it was empty.
That's when Jenny decided to buy this surveillance camera, and what police say Jenny caught on video was shocking. Investigators say the video shows maintenance workers entering Jenny's salon unit multiple times. Mayfield Heights police say allegedly helped himself to snacks, drinks, cash, and personal items using keys to suites that were assigned to him.
But I caught 14 videos in 4 days of him coming in my room.
Jenny says the owner at replaced all the locks at the property weeks after the incident. A warrant was issued for arrest, but police say he stopped showing up to work and has so far been unwilling to turn himself in.
Yeah, it's violating. It's a violating feeling. I don't know how else to say it. It's like someone coming into your house.
Police say is responsible for breaking into other burglaries that were not caught on video.
Went in on several occasions to different suites throughout the unit and took items.
Jenny Pace left on February 1st to continue her salon business at another location. Mayfield Heights Police Captain Donovan Paquette says the multiple break-ins have some tenants concerned about security.
Obviously, if you have a male maintenance worker that's going into a lot of these suites that the females occupy, I mean, it can be disheartening.
Over the past week, News 5 has made several phone calls on multiple numbers to the owner of in Mayfield Heights for this story, but we're still waiting for a return phone call. Mayfield Heights Police and Cuyahoga County court records confirm has prior convictions for grand theft, theft by deception, receiving stolen property, and more.
It is important that businesses run background checks. A lot of the court docket information is available just by going online.
And so if you have any information about the whereabouts of 62-year-old you're being asked to contact the Mayfield Heights Police Department at 440-442-2323. If you have information, you don't have to leave your name. Reporting here at Mayfield Heights Police Headquarters, I'm News 5 investigator Joe Paganakis.
Welcome, Jenny, and our special guest, Brandon, on today's episode to the Legal Beagle podcast. And Jenny, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm always good here. Thank you for asking. And so what do we need to get into? Tell us about your journey.
Long journey.
Yes.
And a half, I think. Brandon has helped me the whole way. Yeah, so I took the course. That was the first step. I had a situation happen where I was like doxxed online, and I was looking into like if there's anything I could do about it. So that's what sparked the need to take the course. So
which course? The Jurisdictionary course?
Yeah,
okay.
How to Win Without a Lawyer, Dr. Graves course. So took that. I took notes on the whole thing, and it makes you, it's good. It's easy to read, and it says so many times over and over again that knowledge is power and you can do it yourself. So I was taking notes on that, and I was getting like confidence with that. And then in the middle of, so like the course has all these different things like breach of contract and stuff, which isn't what I was dealing with when I took the course, but it came up while I'm taking the course for another situation. So I was like, oh, I read about that. So I actually dropped the first thing that I was doing because I thought it was going to be too much, and then took the second thing instead, which is crazy because if that happened, I don't think I would have taken the course, you know what I mean? Like the second situation, but I already took it, and so I was getting the knowledge. So then, um,
Yeah, once you see the violation of rights, it's hard not to act on them when you come across it in nature.
right. So just wrote the complaint out. Obviously, Brandon helped me the whole way, and filed it, and that started it. And here we are, and we won, so we're good.
End of story. Is that it?
Yeah, that's a lot of. It's okay. Looking back, I could do that again from what like the start to where it ended because we didn't even get into discovery. So
Well,
like
can you tell us the events of what happened? Like, can you give us what the wrong was? What happened?
Well, let's start here. Just
yeah,
for everybody that doesn't know, there is an agreement signed where certain things can't be discussed. We've talked about this 100 times that when you get to the settlement table and you finally get what you've asked for, there's a non-disclosure agreement. So what we agreed to was that certain things wouldn't be spoken of, but Jenny herself, I told her, I said, tell them that you're not willing to settle without saying you won. And
right.
so she went and got, yeah, so she went and got that struck from the non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah,
Okay, so we can't speak about amounts, and the public information that will be in this video later is public information that isn't tied to Jenny at all. It will paint a clear picture of how the events that transpired to the actual claims, and the complaint is public knowledge. Okay, so things of that nature you can discuss. Go ahead, Jenny.
yeah. So yeah, the NDA said you can't discuss the fact or amount of settlement, and I'm okay with amount, but I told him you better take the word fact out because I'm not gonna not tell people that I won because hello, like that was a lot. So he called them and I waited and he's like, all right, he crossed it out. I'm like, thank you. So but I mean, I think I could say what like do you think I could say without names like what happened? Like but just like
Yes, you can. You.
okay,
It's
yeah.
public knowledge.
I was renting from a salon and they stole from me.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So you were you a hairdresser?
yeah.
What are we talking about?
Hairdresser.
Okay. So you did you rent the place or you were
Yeah,
just
renting
like
the room. Mhm.
you're renting a whole room? So you weren't just like renting a stall from a beauty
Full room
salon,
that only I can and whoever has a key. So,
right?
yeah,
Right. So were there other people that worked in there with you, or just you?
just me in that room, but in the building there's other rooms. So, yeah, and I wasn't the only one that happened to, but I'm the only one that is petty enough to, you know.
So this happened to multiple people like you.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this was a salon with this is a big building with multiple little individual salons in it. Is that what
Yeah.
we're talking about? Okay.
Mhm.
Right. And then someone that had keys to the master key came in and stole from all of you.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and to expound on this, because it's public knowledge too. Once we started investigating this person, he had a long criminal history, and yet he was hired to manage people's property. And look, this will go back. This will go back in other cases too. As you know, I went and investigated the Terrebonne Sheriff's Office and talked to Terrebonne Sheriff, and so we'll have a subpoena in the wildlife and fisheries case. Deuce Tim for the sheriff's office to forward over to me everything they have on Dwayne Crawford because he's got criminal issues too.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's funny because when you hire somebody that's going to administer somebody else's property, you better damn well make sure that that person doesn't have a background of stealing people's property. And
Right.
this guy did.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So Jenny, where you live? What where'd you grow up?
Ohio. Did that come through?
No, where you
Oh,
live in
sorry.
Ohio? Okay,
I live in
right.
Ohio, yeah.
So born and raised in Ohio, and so you decided to start your own business,
Mhm.
and you went to
Yeah.
you went to haircutting school, I'm guessing.
Cosmetology. Yep.
Cosmetology, and then you rented from a place that
Yeah,
hired a
so
criminal.
yeah, I started in an actual salon with commission at first, and then I went there. So after a couple years, but yeah, but
You go into cosmetology school, and you immediately started working for
yeah,
where this happened, or
no,
you.
it was just like a full salon that's commission based. It's not working for yourself. I worked there for a couple years, and then during COVID, which I know was really hard for a lot of people, but for me, it actually helped me because when we were at home on unemployment, I was like, I'm not going back. Like, so I was like doing haircuts and stuff, and I'm like, why am I? And then they're like, oh, you can come back now, and I'm like, oh. So then I like eased my way into opening the salon because it made me realize like what am I doing? So
Right.
I did
So
that.
so COVID encouraged you to branch out on your own.
Yeah. Mhm.
And about what year did you go into the place where these crimes happened?
2020. No. 2021. I can't remember now. I was there for 2 years. 2021. At the end of 2021, I think. Does that sound right?
Oh, I don't
When did
know.
COVID happen?
2020.
So
Yeah,
it was
2019. The winter of 2019 is when they started the push. March of 2020 is when the mass hysteria started.
so it was like November 2021 I started there.
Okay.
Yeah. hmm
And so you signed a lease, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Okay. And did the person that committed these crimes against you owned all this property, or did they?
No, that was just like maintenance that actually did the crime, but I also I never really cared about that person because you can't tell. It's like a cheater is gonna cheat, a thief is gonna steal. Like I'm not mad about that. It's just the landlord knowing that it was going on and not doing anything is what the negligence came in. So
And how do we know the landlord knew?
just everybody that was stolen from told him, and he didn't do anything. And then when it was happening to me, I was like, and then I found out that, and I was like, well, and then it's so yeah, it goes back. So me and him were cool. Like it just he like stopped talking to me after the first situation that happened that I was going to sue about, which wasn't even about him, but it just like affected life. I was just like doxxed online really bad for quoting scripture.
Yeah, so I'm going to explain this part for
Okay.
everybody. Pretty
Please.
much repeated Revelations 11. The synagogue of Satan, those who aren't Jews but claim to be, but are really the synagogue of Satan. So Jenny posted this and read this on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and a group who has accosted me before picked it up, doxed the hell out of her, and then attacked her. And newspapers wrote articles about her. Okay, so after this happened, the leasee, right, or the leaseor, decided to treat Jenny in a different way because of her anti-Semitic views. So it bankrolled into the eventual civil claim, right? Because now, because of these organizations out here that are lobbied through APAC, ADL, and everything else, Jewish World Health Organization, and everything else, who can come in and attack the personality of a person for reading scripture. And here we go again, just to bring everybody up to speed. Christ is King is anti-Semitic.
My family is Jewish, so just to throw
Yeah,
that,
I know.
like, doesn't matter though. I mean, I just wish people would ask, hey, what did you mean by this? Before they are just like, oh, you're a vile hater. I'm like, I don't hate anyone. So it was just so extreme and ridiculous. And for people in your actual life to believe something when they know you and they don't, or
Yes.
not even believe it, but just like not want to associate with you because it's just like, okay, so crimes are committed. That's okay. Saying something wrong maybe is not okay. It's just weird how you're treated worse when you're not even doing anything criminal.
Okay, so there were multiple people that were harmed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did they all post something on media too, or they just singled
No,
you out? How's that work?
nobody cared. Yeah,
Nobody
just me.
what?
Nobody cared. Like they
Oh,
just let it, there's like, oh well, nothing I can do.
okay. So were they stealing money or
Yeah.
items or
Oh,
what was going on?
whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
Money. Mine was my money, items. Yeah.
Yeah. Like what? The hairbrushes,
No,
scissors. I mean, what?
I have snacks in there. People had alcohol. He stole the alcohol. Like it's just.
Yeah,
And
and just so yeah, just read the NDA later before I speak on this. So everybody in the salon were already talking about it. They were sending text messages back and forth, screenshotting their conversations with the leaseor. Okay, letting them know that there was an issue, and that's how everybody knew that everybody was getting stolen from. Right,
right.
everybody was
Well,
talking.
it happened to me. So I asked. I just asked somebody. I was like, "Hey, has this happened?" Like, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, and this person, and this person," and I was like, "Oh, did you tell the owner?" And they're like, "Yeah, but he didn't really." And I'm like, "Oh, nice," because I couldn't talk to him because he told me not to. So I was like, "I guess
Okay.
I'm forward of the
Okay.
pack."
Let's back up. Let's get the timeline right. So you start going on social media, and you say what you said or
Well,
whatever.
no, that's not really. All I did was I just posted a clip of the guy stealing, and I just told people, "Hey, even though there's cameras in the building, it doesn't matter if you live there or whatever, just get your own because those don't do anything and you need your own evidence." So I just posted that really for awareness and stuff, but
Okay. So
I didn't
everyone.
like go on and blast them or anything. I just said, "This is what happened. Get cameras." Like,
So
you know.
people were noticing things were missing. They
Yeah.
didn't know why. They went to the landlord. The landlord refused to show you the cameras, or what?
I mean, no, I didn't ask for that, but I mean, I didn't talk to him, but people just said that he stuck up for the guy or just didn't seem to care, and so.
So other people went to the landlord, and the landlord didn't care and dismissed their claims, right?
Mhm.
And so you knew things were missing. You didn't know who was doing. Did you know who was doing it
Well,
at the time?
at first I didn't, and then I had the camera, I didn't have the subscription, so I got the subscription, and then the next day he came in like 5 times in a day. So I was like, "Oh, nice."
Gotcha. So you went and got a camera. You put it in your salon so you could
Well,
evidence
I already had
what
the
was
camera. Yeah.
what.
I had the camera the whole time. I just didn't buy the subscription to
Gotcha.
go back in the history, so then I did that, and as soon as I did that, I was able to catch it right away.
And so this was a Ring doorbell camera or something of that nature.
Nest. One of
Huh?
those a Nest.
The
Yeah.
Nest. Okay.
Mhm.
And so you caught the guy stealing money, alcohol, and items and whatever on camera.
Yep.
And then what did you do?
I just gathered enough evidence and then went to the police station.
Okay.
Because I did that for retaliation purposes because, I was talking to Brandon Alphonse about it, and we figured that they're probably gonna terminate me or something. So it looks like retaliation, which it is, if I do something about it. So I filed a criminal police report, and then he told me I couldn't renew, so.
And did the police reach out to the landlord or the guy that was
Yeah.
stealing from you, or?
So I think they tried to go up there and talk to the guy that was actually stealing, and he didn't come to work since someone tipped him off that they were looking for him. And then the landlord never answers any phone calls. I mean, at first he did when he didn't know what was going on, but then he just evaded it. And then I just like called Channel 5 and was like, "Hey, you guys want to cover this story?" So then they came in and it was really funny. People were pissed walking, but I don't know why. They were stolen from too. They were like mad that I was doing that. I'm like, I don't care. Attach it to the complaint, attach the police report to the complaint. I was like, here we go.
It's a sad psychological effect. It's ass conformity, right? And it's sad to see people willingly wronged, knowingly and willingly wronged, right? And yet they get upset because you're rocking the boat. And we've seen this through COVID-19 and a plethora of other issues. How people with cognitive dissonance want to strike out at people who are actually standing against
I mean,
criminal
what
wrongdoing.
world do we live in that if you're a victim of a crime, you're wrong for doing something about it? That's the world that I've been living in for a couple years. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, look at how many people struck out against you for COVID, for the getting doxxed online, where lifelong friends can leave you because a picture is painted against you in the digital realm.
It's ridiculous.
So,
Now,
go ahead, Gary.
did the police arrest this guy eventually?
No, because I think it has to be more of money at once for it to be like a felony or something, which I never wanted to even go for him. I wasn't even, but I guess if he gets like pulled over or something, he's gonna get arrested. But I don't. That wasn't even my goal. I don't care about. I actually didn't want something to happen to him. I just want him to like go get help. But no, they didn't arrest him. No,
Okay, so he hasn't been arrested, and you
he might right now. I don't know.
and you knew you were wrong, and you wanted your things back, and
Well, it's more honestly the principle of this guy that we were cool and then ignoring me, and then something happens where it's his fault, and then he just doesn't care. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, apparently this is business now, so that's fine. We'll do it that way. Because if we were still cool and he just said, sorry, let me replace what he took, it would have been fine. I wouldn't have.
The parallels between this case and my wildlife and fisheries continental land and fur case are pretty close, and I'll explain this. In that property was wrongfully taken, right?
Mhm.
Illegal searches and seizures were happening by private actors, and then when you notify the company, what does the company do? Instead of doing what's right, which is investigating the behavior of, and this is, so look, when a CEO's or CFO is made aware of a situation where their employees are committing criminal acts, they are supposed to actually correct that behavior in some way, shape, or fashion. But instead, what you're finding in corporate America is that they'll try to cover up the situation by retaliating against you. And that's why we did the FOIA request. That's why Jenny did the interview with the TV station, because you're building up your record as you're going forward. That's why I did 2 letters to Continental Land and Fur telling them that this behavior by Dwayne Crawford was illegal and violated the terms of the lease, right? Because negligence voids every contract. That as soon as negligence occurs, I have no duty anymore to these people, right? They've broken their duties, their responsibilities, and their obligations. But what we see over and over again, because people are so ignorant of their duties and responsibilities to others, that what they'll do is just retaliate and make the situation worse. And that's exactly what happened in Jenny's case. As soon as he was made aware of the issues, what he did was cancel her lease.
Yeah. Which, it's just a dumb move, because it's like, you think I'm staying?
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
don't even make it worse. Just, it's ridiculous. It's just, I can't believe he even did. I can, because he's an idiot, but
Yeah. And so who were the parties that you ended up, well, you can't say who, but I mean,
yeah.
you could tell me their titles, I guess you had to sue the landlord and
whatever.
but you didn't sue the guy actually came in the place, or you did?
No.
No.
Yeah, no.
So basically this case was only about you and the landlord.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. And then, so when did you file this case, and where did you file it?
I filed it in my local county court, and then I'm trying to think when. So November, it happened in
2022 November. No, we filed it in 2023 in what, March or April?
I think so it happened November 2022, and then we filed it like February 23.
Yeah, it was either February or March, and it took 16 months to get it.
Yeah, and it wasn't like 16 months of nonstop. It was like, at first it was like the complaint and then the dismiss and that, and then it was a long months of just waiting for an order.
Yeah. And so this was not federal court?
No.
Okay. And so they filed motions to dismiss?
Yes.
Okay. And the judge came. What?
By the way, because when you have no experience with this and you read the Telegram groups of everyone talking about, and I'm not going to say I'm not discrediting lawyers and their work or anything like that. I'm sure there's good lawyers somewhere out there, but what they say about how they suck and they're lazy and this and that, it's like I didn't really know if I believed it fully, but I couldn't believe some of the things that I read. And I was like, people want to be like, oh, yeah, that's a big time lawyer. Like, you better. And I'm like, well, for some reason, I'm not intimidated because I read his writing. And it's really, I don't understand how they get away with that.
Well, give us some details
I'll give
about.
you an example.
Yeah, please.
Like, when I piece out fact number 8, 9 to all the way up to like 69, and then he takes all of those, which it's admit, deny, or without knowledge. Just say one of those, even if it's without knowledge, but he put numbers 8 through 69 deny. And some of those facts were like plaintiff is Jewish by mother. There's cameras in the building. Like these are, I mean, without knowledge would have been make more sense than deny. Like, how are you denying? So I just don't understand that. And I don't know if I don't think that's the under oath thing or anything like that. So he can do that, but it just doesn't make sense to do that.
Well, it's
I don't
frivolous. It's frivolous in nature, and what's happened with the plausibility standard in Inkball, right, is the allowance of attorneys to come in with the 12B1 and 12B6 motions and pretty much suspend the case. And it's actually frivolous. Sanctions. We're going to get to the point to where we start sanctioning these frivolous deals, but we got to get past these judges who think this is normal behavior. It's the only judge that I know of yet who has actually told the lawyers don't file any frivolous 12B6 motion is Gary's in Tennessee. He told them flat out, don't you do it.
That's good. That's good. I think I had a good judge, and the staff attorney honestly was really nice, and they complimented me when we were on the phone with like a conference, and I think I got lucky with the judge and stuff. But yeah.
So tell us about your experience with interacting with like you went to a 26F conference or something like that.
Yeah,
Where
I never even had to go anywhere. There was like 2 phone calls through the whole case. Brandon was like, for the first phone call, Brandon was like, don't let him testify. And then he did, and I corrected him. And then the staff attorney was like, you seem well versed, but are you going to get a lawyer? And I was like, if I could find one that I trust. So no.
And so let's speak about that, because I want you to articulate this. You did go try to find a lawyer. Let's talk about that.
Not right away. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, first I was like all in it, like, okay, doing it myself. And then I got overwhelmed and I was like, maybe I should just, because it also says in the course, like, you can get a lawyer, but now you know how to check them, which is good, because I wouldn't hire a lawyer and let them say 8 through 69 deny. Like, so when I was looking for a lawyer, and this was already after filing and after, I think I got past the dismissal at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, oh, I think it's because it's not enough money for them, which makes sense. But I wish they would just say that, because when they say no, it seems like they're saying like you don't have a case, which I do, obviously. So they would just say that they're, we can't do it, we can't do it. And it's just like, I don't know how anyone hires a lawyer because they say no to everything. So I don't know
So what they want to do is, once let's get to the facts of this. Once they know that you actually know something and can read their complaints, and they're not going to be able to forever charge you and run the bill up, they don't want, you're a danger to them, right?
Right.
Now because you can turn on them and file ethics complaints against your own lawyer representing you in court, who is committing professional ethics violations. So we're just like the attorney said when you went and finished this deal. He said, man, he didn't want a pro se to beat him, right?
Yeah.
They don't want it. It is a market.
He literally asked me at the settlement table after I signed. He was like, so how'd you do this? I was like,
so the lawyer was jealous.
yeah. And also they try to bully you, and I'm just not the type that's like, I don't know. It's just like on the phone, he'd just be like, you're not going to get nothing. And I'm like, okay. And then he'd get back on the phone and offer me more. And I'm like, I thought I was getting nothing. What happened to that?
I'm sure he really enjoyed that comment. All right. I thought I was getting that.
The first offer, I literally said to him, I'm like, I would rather lose the entire thing than take that.
And so did they come to you and say, let's make an offer, or did you
Yeah,
say
3 times.
at what point? At what point? At what points?
Okay, well, very beginning, some insurance company called me and was like, "Oh, well, if you show receipts, we'll reimburse you." And I'm like, "Well, I don't have receipts for cash." And she was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah." So no. And then that was right away. And then I think after I beat the motion to dismiss, he offered me what he offered me, and I was like, no.
Let's get a little specific here. So after the motion to dismiss was defeated, a Rule 26F conference was scheduled, right?
Yeah.
Working on discovery at that time. As soon as the motion to dismiss was out, and that the claim and listen, just for everybody out there that's doing this, that's the only thing we have to get past is the motion to dismiss. Once that's gone, they're going to try to settle. Okay. And this is proven in this case here. So the Rule 26F conference was set, which outlined that the initial discovery must be done by this date. And in this particular case, with video out there on news channels and part of the public record, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
There's absolutely nothing.
Denied, by the way, in the facts.
Yeah. And so we get to that point, and all of a sudden, the attorney is now wanting to settle.
Yeah. But that was the last one. There was 3 times he tried.
Yeah. So after the motion to dismiss is when it really, it really came to fruition that they wanted to settle.
Yes.
Hang on a second. Hang on. I've got some kind of issue going on over here. Okay. All right. I'm back. Sorry. So you found that lawyers were dishonest, huh?
Oh yeah.
and
Which, I mean, I guess they have to be, but I mean, they could say without knowledge, though. It's like you can be dishonest and still answer it was too much. And then it makes me it's hard to be intimidated by that. Like, I feel like if he did it better, I would have been more. When the first thing that got me when I read, what did I read? In the dismissal, what he said about it was just the most ridiculous statement I've ever read. But it might even have, because I think that because I couldn't have breach of contract, so I guess it worked. But what he said was crazy. It was like, it's not a breach because he came in to steal and he didn't come in to do a maintenance duty, so it's not a breach. Why would that be a breach? He literally put that, and I had to read it. I sat there and read it for like 40 minutes, and I was like, there's no way that he actually said that. But then I realized he did say that. So I was like, okay, so if he came in and stole and patched a wall up, it's a breach. But if he just stole, it's not. Got it.
Yeah, and so to clarify for Ohio people here that may, and look, if you ever run into this issue here, so the attorney didn't plead his defense correctly. The judge clarified in his order that you couldn't in Ohio plead 2 separate causes of action for negligence and breach of contract. In Ohio, they're thought to be one and the same. Okay, so it wasn't that the defense attorney pled specifically a wonderful articulated argument. No, the judge had to come in and correct everyone. And so while I'm on this point right here, it's why it's so hard. And I would tell Jenny this all the time as we're discussing it. You can't really take advice from anyone that isn't inside your state statutes and reading your state's case laws and your district court's case laws, because every state has slight alterations to specific things, right? In Louisiana, we can do a negligence claim and a breach of contract. Well, without studying for hundreds of hours in Ohio, how was I supposed to know that? A defense attorney from a highfalutin law firm didn't know that, but the judge knew it.
Yeah. And so, so Jenny, how did you come to find the Jurisdictionary course?
Was it Rose? Yeah. Rose Crow.
Okay, so you were listening to Crow 777?
No,
radio?
we like messed. So flat earth thing. I was making content about like flat earth and stuff, and we're all in on that. So she reached out to me to go on that show, and then it never happened, but we like became friends. And then, this happened, and then she connected me with Brandon Alphonse, and we had like this like 4-way phone call and right when I was like so traumatized from it was like it was happening like in that moment. So I was already it was a lot. Like it was like I got these two guys like saying like, oh yeah, this is a slam dunk case, like all this stuff, and I'm like sitting there like, what do I do? So like that's how.
Let's speak about something else that I think that you touched on at the beginning about knowledge is power. Let's talk about your spiritual growth during this time too,
Yeah.
because I do want to focus on this because the very first phone call that we had and multiple ones after the initial conversation, I didn't even speak about law to her. We spoke about spiritual ideas and strengthening your inner fortitude, right? And trying to correct this victim consciousness and, this, oh, woe is me. And let's discuss how much you've grown in this process, Jenny.
Yeah, that was so overwhelming, and I was so traumatized, and now never thought I would laugh at it, but here I am. Um, yeah. No, it's more than just the law stuff. It's a lot of internal growth, and it's like once something like that happens, I feel like you can't really be bothered anymore. It's like something happens and you're like, "Okay, well, I got doxxed by the community." So, I think that that's like, not as bad. So, now it's just like, I mean, you just like kind of brush things off after that. You're just like, whatever. So, I feel like I grew a lot.
So you would say that you kind of rid yourself of fear.
Kind of, yeah. I'm just like, who it's just so ridiculous. If you just look at what it really is, it's like if someone says something you don't like and then you want them dead and I'm the problem. It's just I can't my brain doesn't work that way. I'm a logical thinker, so it just doesn't make any sense and I'm not gonna fall into it. And then everyone's saying like, "Oh, change your name, delete your social media." I'm like, "No. I'm not gonna change my life for people that don't even know me." And I'm not gonna let them tell the world who I am. They never even talked to me one time. So, you know and most people I feel like can't even handle that happening, which it was hard to handle, but a lot of people, like, really they'll just, like, completely double down and, like, you know? But it's like, I'm fine. I have clients still. I think I have new clients come to me. No one even sees the stuff. So it's like, you can't I feel like it's a choice to let it ruin your life.
So you were putting out so much content that Rose from
Yeah.
Crow
Mhm.
reached out to you to
Yep.
come on the show and talk about this. And
Yeah.
this is and had the incident happened before that?
No.
No. Okay. So you got introduced to all these you got introduced to Rose
Uh-huh.
and this all these things happened. You
Uh-huh.
went and got the camera and found out who it was and whatnot. And then you contacted Rose again and asked what to
I think
do, or
we were just friends, and then she was like she knew about the course, and then isn't that what happened? I'm pretty sure that's yeah, that is. And then yeah, and then she knew Brandon and Alphonse, so she connected me with them. Yeah, I had a lot of I don't know if that's part of it. Like I was getting kind of a lot of attention from the content I was posting. Like I don't know if you know that Morning Rover show.
no, do not.
It's, like, local over here. Well, it's, like, everybody knows about it over here, and they were trying to get me on there, but I thought they were gonna make fun of me, so I they were, like, talking about me on the show before they asked me to come on, and I was like, "I feel like they're gonna make fun of me, I don't want" so I didn't do it. But then yeah. But that was after this, though. It was after the doxing, so then I was like, "Yeah, they're probably gonna bring that up," and I wasn't in the place to deal with more, but
So, okay. All right. So Rose was the connection here that got
mhm,
you into the jurisdictionary course.
yeah,
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's quite a little story of fate, isn't it?
yeah. It's weird how it's just, like, I never thought I'm glad that that happened. It would
Yes.
if that didn't happen and the salon thing happened, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
Wouldn't have
Right. Of
met
course.
Brandon, wouldn't have it just wouldn't have happened.
And what's the one thing that makes the what's the only thing that humans can grow through?
Pain and suffering.
Exactly,
Adversity. Adversity.
it's
Yeah,
true.
that's right. That's right. And so
What is
you
it?
went.
Isaiah 48:10. Behold, I have refined thee, but not as silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of That's it, right? I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction, right? That's it. Isaiah 48, I don't remember what verse, but that's it, right? You cannot grow. And that's the problem in society today. We want to coddle people, we want to coddle children, we want to pat them on their butts. But
Yeah.
true growth is going through adversity, pain, and suffering, and coming out on the flip side knowing everything's going to be okay.
So true.
And so tell us what you think what you accomplished with going through all of this, the doxing and the interviews and everything else.
Lot of life lessons. It's so much more. Obviously, the win, which is because I feel like, when you're a girl and it's like you're already like, oh, she's a girl. And then it's like, oh, you do hair. Oh, you're dumb. So I like to have something kind of under my belt that's like, oh, well, I did this. Do you think you could do that? Probably not. You know? So even it's for me, it's like not about the money and it's about the principle and like the pettiness. That's what gets me. Like, I'm like, all right, that's what I wanted, you know?
And
And then it's like just like the fake friends that you have that come out when something like that happens and they're not by your side. So then you realize like who's really there for you. It's a lot of life stuff. It's like I feel like the Bible says if they hate you, they hated me first. And, like, while that whole thing was happening, even though it was, like, new and super traumatic, I knew that it was spiritual warfare. It was just so it's the spiritual journey and just it's a lot.
and so if what got you into starting making creative content? Was the goal to make money or to educate people or?
I was just so passionate about the reality. I don't call it a belief. Um, it was introduced to me immediately. It made sense, and I was raised Catholic, but I never really got into the Bible or anything, and then that was in the Bible, so I was like, "Oh, that's so weird how it says that in there." So then it made me start believing in the word, so I started quoting the word, um, but yeah, I'm just really passionate about the whole like, I don't even like saying flat earth because people think of it as the wrong thing, but I'm passionate about where we really live and the creation that was created by a creator, and it's just interesting to me, like, I have friends that were atheists before they found out about flat earth,
Yeah,
and it them to
and
God.
it and if that's the case, why do you think our world is being hidden from us?
Oh my gosh. Money, power, control. I mean, they can't teach real history because real history has free energy and things that they don't want us to know about, so they have to cover it up with all this fake. It's so obviously fake to me that it's hard for me to even, like, debate and, like, with people because I'm just like, you don't have to and another thing is, it's not a belief where it's like belief versus belief. It's like, this is reality, you introduced it and you say, like, "I don't want you to believe me." Which is what, NASA and everyone's like, "Just believe what we say, don't believe your eyes." And I'm like, "No, believe what like, go look and make your own judgments, but just take what I say and try to, like, look at what I'm saying, but I don't want you to believe me. I want you to see for yourself." And they never say that, ever. They don't want you to even look. That's why they cover the sky.
So you felt inherent urge to educate your fellow man about the
Yeah.
things that you were coming across and giving him food for thought.
Right, yeah, but then yeah, and a lot of people I mean, there's a lot of people that were really supportive, and they're like, "Oh my god, thank you so much, like, you woke me up," or, like, this and that, but then there's so much, like, "Oh my god, didn't you ever go to a science class?" And I'm like, "Yes, I did, that's how I know that water doesn't behave like that."
Right. That's your new
Yeah,
priest class.
but it's like science and God go hand in hand because God created it, but it's
That's
the pseudoscience that people call science, and it's like, it's not science because science is observable.
Well,
And
in the science today backs up the notion that you were born in the wrong body. That everything that ails you is natural to you, and nothing in the natural world can work. We must concoct these poisonous cocktails for you to shoot all over your place and fix you, right?
Mhm.
And it's totally contrary to what you just said, reality.
Right.
and
Well,
so your spiritual inherent urge helped you to educate your fellow man, which led to the doxing, which led to you meeting Rose, which led to, it's hard to get around the fact that something was leading all of this to a point, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And you grew up Catholic, but did you go to church a lot? I mean, were you really religious, or
I
how
went
did you
to
come to the?
school my whole life, but this is another thing is like I think the devil is in the church because it's super. I just have always had a really strong spiritual intuition, and I just never connected with the just stuff in school about like space and stuff, and I never connected with these weird. It's like Catholic church is really depressing. And it's like my mom's Jewish, and she would literally come sit there because I was anxious because it was so depressing when I was a kid. And they would just show these like scary, I mean, no one else cared. Like I had like, I don't know, I was just a really deep thinker my whole life. So I'm in like third grade and they're talking about how like God told Abraham to kill his son. And I was like, okay, well, if God tells my mom to kill me, am I gonna like, so then she'd march up to the school and be like, why are you saying this to my kid? Like, it was just so it makes you not wanna I mean, all my friends that are Catholic, like, most of them are atheists because they can't separate but I always believed in God. I knew God was real, but I never said God is this church, and, like, the priests are really kinda weird and, like, the whole thing. So then I'm like, and we also never got into the Bible all throughout. I went to Catholic school since preschool to 12th grade, never opened a Bible. They don't do that. They only, they read it in church, like certain parts, but I never heard them read that the moon is a light. Have you in church?
Is it a catechisms? Is that what it's called? Do they read from what's called the catechisms?
It's the Bible.
Yeah, yeah. But
I don't
I'm
know what
saying in Catholic Church, they read from what's called catechisms, I think.
Okay, I don't know what that is, but
Yeah.
Well, catechism is what you go through to become Catholic. So at about the age of 12-ish or something like that, you have to go through catechism class, and then you can profess your faith and you can become Catholic.
Yeah.
that was like our confirmation, I think.
Yeah,
Right.
confirmation, but you go through catechism class to confirmation.
I've had probably 20 to 30 other Catholics or previous Catholics tell me the same thing you're saying now. They never read from the Bible.
Yeah.
It's never on scripture.
Well,
I
it's
mean,
also
go
Catholic
ahead.
beliefs are anti-biblical as well. Like it says, don't false worship and stuff. You're like confessing to priests and praying to saints. Why? The statues. Why are there statues of saints? Like it's weird. It's like false worship. They're all over the place.
Why do you think that
So.
is?
The devil getting into the church, and it's like it's just this is because people are like, oh, I'm Catholic. It's like, well, it's not, are we going by the Bible because it's not biblical?
Yeah.
So
Yes, indeed.
Let me ask you one more thing. At what point, or how long have you were content creating before Rose reached out?
I want to say a year, but I switched niches. I was doing like thirst traps because I was like, I mean, see what's gonna work, That was just for fun, whatever. And then I was like, I literally my friend told me about this stuff, and I was like, oh, maybe I can combine them. So I like whatever. So then I started talking about this, and then it was like people were texting me like, do you really think that? And I'm like, yeah, like. So you try to help people. I mean, when you first find out about this stuff, you're just like so excited and you think this is the biggest lesson I learned through this whole thing. I thought everyone wanted to know the truth. That is not true. That's the biggest thing I took from this. I'm like, so that made me, I don't create this content anymore, but it made me stop because I'm like, people don't want the truth. I thought I do. So I thought why wouldn't you want the truth? They want their narrative, even if they know it's not right.
Mm-hmm.
Newborn babe in Christ that you go around thumping everybody in the head. You're like, I know you want to know the truth, don't you? And then you finally realize, and it's almost soul crushing, but it's a life experience too, because now you have to accept reality that there's people here that do not want to know the truth at all.
Yeah, I cannot relate. So that was shocking for me.
And so what platform, if I may ask, were you on?
That was TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Did you make any money there, or?
No, I didn't make any money. So people that are like, "Oh, you're a shill, I'm like, "I'm just trying to help you." And even when I quoted that scripture, I thought I was trying to like help people, but it's the whole thing just kind of backfired. But then again, I feel like it was like good, bad, and as long as I win in the end, I don't care, which is I feel like what happened. So
And
Yeah, so there's no coincidence, and I like
no.
Gary how Gary tied this all together, right? This was your growth. This was your growth journey,
Mhm.
and it was necessary for you to go through all these things and then end up here
Yeah.
as a pro se,
Yep.
beating a highfalutin law firm, and able to get on the Legal Beagle channel and say, I did it,
Right.
and and it's amazing that we're here because I'll just be honest, you drove me crazy a little
I
bit
know.
a couple times,
I know.
but but in the long run, I knew that it was part of my journey too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had to learn something,
You
in
learned
this.
you're never doing this shit again.
Well, and I'll
well,
help
let's go.
people.
I was about to ask that question.
Yeah, and so I'll be honest here, folks. The Big Sibs changed too. There was a time 3 to 4 years ago where everybody who brought me their pile of crap to my front door, I would go to work on it. And what I had to learn was that you can't do that. And I want to give kudos to Jenny right here, because one of the things Jenny did do was she saw it all the way through. Uh, However, at the same time I was helping Jenny, I was helping 3 or 4 other people who just wanted me to do the whole thing. And I did do a lot for Jenny.
Oh
There's
yeah.
no doubt about
Yeah.
it. There's no doubt about it. But what I had to learn was that Brandon couldn't do it all.
No.
And it was a great learning curve for me too.
And so, what did you learn, Brandon? Did you learn that people that come to you for help have to help themselves?
They have to help themselves, because what happens here, and me and Jenny talk about this all the time. I would tell her that I can't be your crutch all the time. And it still ended up that way, but it was okay, because as I was understanding that, like I said, it wasn't just Jenny learning; it was me learning too. And I would tell her that on the phone. I said, "So I'm starting to understand that Brandon can't help everybody. I can provide the information, I can provide the spiritual backbone, and I think the greatest help that the greatest assistance that I had for Jenny was our spiritual conversations and watching her grow in strength and going, okay, she's not that traumatized, scared little girl anymore, and she's going to be able to do it. And yet at the same time, you can't have 5,000 to 6,000 people at the same time asking the same thing from you, because it's impossible to do. Right? There's just not enough of Brandon to go around to please everybody, and it was a great awakening for me to say, okay, what I'm going to do from here on out is I'm going to give you the information. Just go to the Big Sib channel. You got to at least go study. We've got thousands of written complaints in there, templates for people to do now. However, with Jenny, we didn't have all that.
Right.
We didn't have simple complaints yet.
No.
But it's
Everything was so complicated. Like the examples, some of them are just like it's like tax evasion law, and I'm like, this is too advanced. Like, just give me something simple. But now, truly, like from what I did up until, because we didn't start discovery, so what I could repeat what I did again, probably actually on my own, and just have Brandon check it. So once you do it once, I feel like I could do it again. But then from what I didn't do yet, I might be the same and be like, oh, what's this? What's this?
Well,
but you understand the concepts, and that's the thing, right? So, and that's the problem. So Jenny, what the one good thing about Jenny,
Oh, it's only one good thing.
well, no, I'm talking about one specific thing. Jenny didn't
Two.
have prior sovereign citizen crap already in her, so
Oh,
I didn't have to break through
see,
patriot
that's
mythology.
I do have that, and it's the same with the flat Earth. I do not have these like attached, like indoctrinated beliefs.
Yeah,
So
and that made it easy.
yes,
So this kind of reminds me of the parable about if you feed a man, fed him for one day, but if you teach a man to fish, he can fish for himself for the rest of his life. And the next question there is, would you do it again, Jenny?
all right. You know, I it's hard because I know that lawyers are lazy. I don't want to pay them, but like also that was a lot. But I do think, I mean, I can do it again up until the point I stopped. I think without much issue. But then but then most cases I feel like they settle, like you said, after the motion to dismiss. So then it's like you don't even get in discovery. Like I'd be worried about discovery because I didn't do it yet. And that's more, I feel like that's more than just filing the complaint and the motion to dismiss. I feel like there's more into discovery. So I'd be a little nervous with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah,
Information, and now you got to compel discovery.
Right, you gotta I always I think about this. Would I do it again? Like, I think I would. I think I would. I don't know. It was a lot though.
when you got the check, it was a pretty great feeling, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I mean, yeah. I was just glad it's over. But it's not for me. It's like the money didn't make me feel better.
Right. It wasn't that. It was the
Yeah.
accomplishment.
I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Just
And how much you think that that opposing attorney got paid per hour?
I mean, I'm sure 450 or more. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, and he on the phone when he was bullying me, he was like, "Well, I'm getting paid either way," and I'm like, "Good. You want my address for a thank you note?" Because that's, I mean, what that's what I want. So good. You're welcome. You know.
Yeah. All right. Well, I feel like with the intro I'm gonna do, we'll cover the rest of the bases. I'm gonna give you the last word, Jenny. What do you want to tell everybody?
Believe in yourself. You know, there's a lot of that. Like, could I do it? I'm doing it. Oh, maybe I shouldn't. You know, just see it out. Um, use the help in the groups, which I just went straight to Brandon. I'm like, Brandon, he's like, go in the groups. I'm like, no. Yeah, and just, like, don't believe what they tell you about how like like people saying like, oh, you need a lawyer to do this. Like you don't, and it's proven. So, and take the course because even if you hire a lawyer, it's good to know um what needs to be done. Because if you blindly hire someone, you don't know what they need to be doing, then you can get screwed. So it's good either way. But yeah.
Well, wise words from Jenny Pace, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here, Jenny. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your journey.
Thank you.
And Brandon, thank you for making time to help us out. Certainly appreciate it. And we'll catch you guys on the next one.